Welcome to another episode of Tangled Rights. This is episode number...
It depends on how we count now, because we did a recap episode last time, which was 33. So this is 34.
Okay, episode 34. I am Justin W. Wilson, Esquire, licensed in Kansas and Nevada. This is not to be construed as legal advice and does not create a lawyer-client relationship. If you have any legal questions, consult your local attorneys. Unless, of course, we are local to you, in which case consult us. I'm joined by...
Shane D. Cox, Esquire.
We've got some big news. Somebody finally saw the value of this podcast. Now that we have 8 solid listeners. I forgot Lawrence last time.
Up to 8. Nice.
I forgot Lawrence.
Good job.
And we have a sponsor.
Hey, Tangled Rights listeners. In today's digital world, we're all spending more time online, whether it's shopping, banking, or just connecting with friends. But have you ever stopped to think about how safe your personal information really is? That's where today's sponsor, Aura, comes in. Aura is a comprehensive online safety solution that protects you from identity theft, data breaches, and even unwanted surveillance. With Aura, you can monitor your credit, track your personal information, and get real-time alerts if something suspicious happens, all from one easy-to-use app. Not only that, Aura helps protect your family with tools like parental controls and fraud protection. Plus, if the worst does happen, their dedicated team of experts is ready to help you recover, giving you peace of mind wherever you go. Don't let your online life put you at risk. Protect your personal information and feel safe while you enjoy everything the internet has to offer. Click the link in the description below or visit aura.com/tangledrights and get a 14-day free trial to see how easy it is to stay safe online.
And, you know, they got great products. We're very excited about them. Excited to have them on. We believe in their products.
Sure. Welcome to 2025.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Do you ever think that we'd get there to 2025? Mm-mm. We're here. The legal train's not going to stop. Every year there's new cases. There's most of them being murders. We're seeing mostly murders. That's what everybody likes to talk about. So we're going to talk about more this year. We got a ton of new ones, fun ones. And as always, I'll tee those up for you, Justin, and ask you questions. Are you ready for what we got going on today?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the most recent stuff, though? Like the news stuff?
Sure. What do you got?
So the January 1 terrorist attack in New Orleans.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
Pretty crazy, yeah. So from what I saw, there's new stuff coming out. I guess they put in barricades. They're just specifically designed to prevent. And it wasn't for terror attacks. It was just for vehicles, you know, because they didn't want someone getting drunk and running people over.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the barricades was down.
So it's college football bowl season right now and college football playoff season I guess more importantly. I was at the Rose Bowl game yesterday, had a blast. The team I went for, I guess. I'm not...
Glad you didn't have a blast, though.
I'm not... Oh, geesh, wow. I had a fun time, a very fun time. I didn't even do that on purpose. At the Rose Bowl, and we heard about what had happened at the other bowl game.
Sure.
Because it's in New Orleans. And
they just postponed it as well.
They postponed the bowl game that's happening right now as we're recording. It's halftime. So, yeah, they moved it back a day because there was a loss of 10 lives. I think
15. They're up to 15.
15 now. It was in the area of the bowl, like pre-festivities, I think.
Yeah, it was for...
Is my understanding?
It was for New Year's stuff.
New Year's / leads into the bowl stuff, kind of like the Rose Bowl has a parade in the morning, and then the big game at the granddaddy of them all, they call it. So, kind of crazy happenings. These things, I don't know why there's an uptick recently of people running groups over with their vehicle, turning their vehicle into a weapon, and then this one on top has... maybe some explosive devices.
He had 2 explosive devices in the vehicle. They found another explosive device in the street somewhere.
And he had a gun as well? Some kind of
semi-automatic rifle of some sort. And
Just
I believe
one?
I don't know. I haven't... So the details are updating constantly.
Right.
But here's the interesting thing to me, and I don't understand this, and it really does drive me crazy. Like when I type in terror attack New Orleans, the first one is from Fox News. I think it's a local station. And the headline is New Orleans truck attack suspect inspired by Islamic State terrorist group. Okay, cool. So then I go to the next one, and it's from CNN, like the main one, and it says New Orleans truck attack, FBI identifies yada, yada, yada. And I don't understand, like, it almost like they're making it like the truck just spontaneously did it. And I think that's a little weird.
I mean, there's always news is unreliable.
Sure.
Like news is so unreliable. There's no integrity. They can't lie to you, but they sure can spin things.
Sure.
So,
But yeah, so there's a bunch of weird stuff coming out about this, and obviously I don't want to quite comment on my thoughts because I don't know everything. But the stuff that I do know is that I think people discount how dangerous a vehicle actually is. You know, especially in America with the shootings that happen here. I think people focus on weapons, right? Like that's the end all be all. But
right.
I mean, how much does my truck weigh? I don't know. It's a Chevy Silverado.
Got to be
Super
4,000
Cab,
pounds.
4,000 pounds. You drive that into a crowd going 70 miles an hour. It's not stopping.
I mean, if you think of like going back to football, if I had a 300-pound, or 250-pound linebacker running at me full speed and hits me, I might be paralyzed for, the rest of my life from that. And that happens in football. So if you think of something 10 times the size.
Yeah.
And moving at 25 miles per hour, that's pretty slow. Well,
not really.
A human can run at 25 miles per hour, and if they hit you, think of the car at that same speed hitting you. It's just
Well, then after he stopped, which I don't know why he stopped, but I mean, thank God he did because he only killed as many as he did kill, which is too bad. It's awful, but it could have been way more, right? Like if he just drove straight down the street, there's thousands of people there. Who knows how many he would have hit?
Yeah.
But he got into a shootout with the police, and good on them because I'm assuming in that area they probably had some rifles.
Yeah.
Usually you see people, they'll have
snipers,
a couple with, well, not even snipers, but just people with like SBRs or like MP5s or something. But he shot 2 cops and then he was eliminated by the remaining officers.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it could have been way, way worse, but for the decisive action of the people that were there that, do what they do, which was jump right into harm's way. And so I know we talk crap on cops a lot from the perspective of like the policing institution, but the individuals, especially some of the ones that I know that are my friends, I might not enjoy all the actions that they do, but when something like this happens, I can tell you that every single one of them would jump right in the fire.
Yeah, it's the bad ones that we see that we
talk
comment
about.
on and talk about, or even the good ones, and get into situations with criminal defendants who have some defenses that we like to talk about.
Sure.
One thing I saw, there's a Twitter account called Bad Legal Takes, which people are so confident in sometimes their opinions on things. The mosque that this guy was a member of, the New Orleans attacker, kind of put something out to the Brotherhood, brothers and sisters they call them, and they said, "Hey, don't talk to the FBI. Don't discuss anything with the FBI." It was a snippet, and the comments come in and say this is they said, talk to our legal defense group as well.
Sure.
Don't just go out and talk to the FBI. So somebody goes in and comments that it's obstruction of justice and its own criminal offense.
No.
So bad legal takes always retweets these people's most confident legal takes that are always so wrong. A lot of them are about First Amendment, yelling fire in a theater, which is not the law. So one of those is only here's the one quote that I hated. It is a right only someone who broke the law needs to take advantage of.
Oh, get out of here.
About remaining silent.
That McCarthyism crap. Like if you didn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to fear.
Right.
That's not the point. Okay. The point is you have the right. You can exercise it for any reason, criminal or not. If I don't want to talk to you,
and this is something that will become incredibly politicized,
Yeah.
Because of the nature and religious beliefs of, the perpetrator this time. So it's incredibly scary to think that people think that some folks' Fifth Amendment rights don't matter.
Yeah, that's not good.
If yours matters, everyone else's needs to matter too. So we are very, 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 very pro these first 10 amendments. Love those. Remain silent. Don't talk to cops.
There's a few more that I like as well.
If you're being questioned, you love another, one as well. But
no, I meant like outside of the 10 amendments. There's a few others. That
yeah,
I'm a big fan of.
okay. We just see a lot of the first 10 in our criminal dealings.
Sure, that's primarily what we deal with.
That's
the 14th.
Those come up a lot.
Get rid of that.
See states.
Don't need due
those.
process. What is it? The 19th Amendment. That one's good.
Is that women voting?
Yeah, that's women's suffrage,
Women's suffrage.
which is, it's not suffering, Austin. It's the right to vote. Yeah, okay. 13th Amendment, solid.
Slavery. Slavery. Yeah, abolish slavery. Okay.
Which one was the alcohol one that they got rid of?
26 or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that was dumb. That was a dumb amendment.
Yeah. No, we shouldn't drink alcohol.
Individual liberty. Drink what you want.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, so that was, obviously it's updating, and so we'll know more later. The couple of things that I thought were interesting was that there was an ISIS flag in the vehicle,
Yes.
which is kind of crazy to me. I guess the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda have not claimed attack or claimed responsibility for this. It seems he might have just been a little off.
Well, there was some news reports about him having just been divorced from his wife and paying child support. I don't know. Men's mental health is always a topic that comes up with these things. That
Sure. I guess he posted like videos when he was on his way from Houston to New Orleans, saying that like he'd thought about hurting his family instead of anybody else, but then he was just like, oh no, I don't want to do that to him, so I'm just going to go hurt random people. So it does sound like he might have just kind of had some kind of mental break or something.
No, and being in a situation like that is going through that is rough.
It's tough.
Being exiled from family
And your children, and then the system, I think, especially when you're in it, regardless if it's criminal or if it's a family situation, it can make it seem like the whole world is against you,
Yes.
including the things that exist for legal purposes,
and
as well as your family.
And to your attorney, it's like, just another case.
Yeah.
And so, but we have clients, it's their whole world,
Sure.
their criminal case. Like I have HOA clients, and that's their whole world is, their HOA and whatever issue it is for their house, it consumes them. So it's a lot of stress that people go through for these things. So, but we have to be more understanding. Probably, could you be more understanding, Justin?
Oh man, like it's weird, man. I'm like a magic 8-ball. Sometimes you shake it and there's like just
There's patience.
a crazy amount of patience and empathy, and then sometimes you shake it and it's just middle fingers all day in rage.
Well, some of
know.
our clients we need to slap them upside the head and say, this is not the end of your life. Like, just come on, this is not a big deal.
Listen, you're fine. Or there are times like today, I have a revocation, right? And I looked at the dates on it today. For revocation means that you get put on probation and then you do something wrong, right? This fool was just adamant that he could not go to prison. He has a real bad record. He got some stuff, and I pulled some strings to get him probation, which doesn't sound like a win necessarily, but they had him dead to rights on his underlying case.
Yeah,
he pled out.
He had committed the crime that he was accused of, and there was evidence for it.
A lot of evidence. He pled out on November 21st. Pled out and then got sentenced to prison or probation on November 21st with a 24 to 60 month underlying sentence. December 18th, gets arrested for driving a stolen vehicle.
I didn't know that.
And then when I talked to, it was the one that was on in DC for today. I can't put his name out there.
I know.
And then apparently I talked to the PO after the hearing, because we kicked it out to the next hearing that's for the underlying case. I guess there's jail calls where he admits it.
No.
And I told him, I went and talked to him, and I was like, what were you doing? He's like, oh, I didn't do that. And then I go talk to the wife out in the hall, and she's like, oh, yeah, he definitely talked about it. I'm like, it says.
But was it to his wife or just to a rando?
His wife.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Still recorded, not spousal privilege.
I know, but yeah, because you have no expectation of privacy.
No. And it's just, so when I
it's
go
not
to
going to
him,
be your case either, but
no, the underlying one isn't, but the revo is. Yeah. And so I've got to be like, hey guys, come on, give me a break here. And it's, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And he,
stop breaking the law.
Stop. It's one of those stop breaking the law asshole moments. I went to him and he started talking to me and he started stuttering. And man, I'm not proud of this part, but he started like trying to talk fast. And I'm like, don't lie to me, is what I said to him. And he's like, I'm not, man. And I'm like, no, you are. I just went and talked to him. I read the police report. You knew, right? And it's just, it's super frustrating because he tells me I have to have this result. And I get it for him. I'm like, look, this is the result I was able to achieve. And he's basically doing backflips. He's so excited. And then not even a month goes by and he shoots himself in the foot. And I shouldn't take it personal sometimes, but I do because I get invested to help people.
Yeah, it's like you put your own neck out for people.
I put my reputation out there a little bit by saying, hey, look, this guy, I think we can give him a shot here. He's going to make us all proud, right? He's going to be a productive member of society.
former military,
all this
positive
stuff, and
things.
then- and then just
Right. No,
hosed. Yeah, it's frustrating.
he's a nice guy.
He's not a bad guy. He's just an idiot.
Yeah. That sums up a lot of
In Las Vegas, if you are driving a stolen vehicle and it has the original plates on it, there are cameras, and I forget what it's called, but they're around, and they scan the license plates.
They're installing more now too.
Yeah,
They
because
put that
they're
out in the
very
news.
successful.
Yes.
And it immediately pings the license plate and says there's a stolen vehicle right here. It's heading this way, and officers will be dispatched to it, and they will catch you. So, not that you should, but if you're going to drive a stolen vehicle,
But
you might want to cold plate it.
If you happen to be driving a stolen vehicle,
You might want to cold plate it. Cold plate means put a plate that's not from that vehicle on it. Maybe one that's similar. I don't know. Or just don't drive stolen vehicles.
good idea.
Some guy says, hey, I'll sell you this Dodge Ram 2023 for $50. Probably stolen.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not the exact situation, but it's pretty damn close.
Okay. Yeah. And that happens all the time. If you're friend of a friend of a friend,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And that's when you really know that they're
Here are the keys.
they're bullshitting you. Nah, I used this screwdriver to start it.
I only need cash.
Yeah, nah.
My bank account's closed right now.
You don't have $1,000. What do you got? You got $350? I'll take it. It's yours.
Who
man.
sold it to you? This phone number that no longer
No.
works.
The other part is like when you say, okay, well, who was it then? Oh, I don't know his name. Okay,
Gosh.
get out of here, man.
Yeah. No, that's rough. Got a few recent cases for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
There is a case out of Denver, the Denver area,
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado,
Dang.
of a dentist. Okay, a dentist who was married and a father of 6. Okay, 6 kids, and there's a recent news articles about him poisoning his wife, being charged for first-degree murder. Okay, they got a warrant to search his computer, and his computer had some Google searches of,
How to poison your wife?
how to poison someone undetectable. Jesus. And also, he didn't want an autopsy done. Another part of this, but they figured out the cause of death was, ingestion of formaldehyde or cyanide in this case. So, part 2 of this, which is, I guess, the more interesting part, is now they're adding charges because he was trying to pay his cellmate when his cellmate got out of jail to kill the investigating officer of the case. So he's now has a conspiracy
How did they catch him?
charge because the cellie said.
Oh, so he didn't do it?
No, the cellie just told on him and says he was trying to hire me to do this.
How much was he going to pay him?
I don't, what?
$50.
$50 is same price as the car.
Yeah. You can get a Dodge Ram for this murder money.
It was a dentist with a failing business who had filed a bankruptcy in 2021, was probably going to file another bankruptcy. He was selling his dental practice. The interesting part of this is news reports, Denver News, linked his YouTube page for his dental page, and he's the most calm kind of guy talking about how he's trying to create a calm environment. And it just reminded me how two-faced, people can be. Austin's going to link the YouTube video I have in our notes.
My name is Dr. Jim Craig, and I practice at Summerbrook Dental Group. My approach to dentistry begins with sincerely listening to the patient and wanting to find out more about where they're coming from and what they're looking for and what they want.
Yeah. So that guy seems like a normal, everyday.
Right?
I mean, if anything, he seems a little soft in that video.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and it's not the aggressive murder of shooting or strangulation or anything like that. He puts poison in her protein drinks is what it is.
and she's dead?
Yes, she died. No, she was in the hospital.
What did he poison her with?
Cyanide. Cyanide was one of them.
Jesus.
There's more accusations there too. He had ordered some other chemical that arrived to the dental office that also could have been a poison that an employee opened, and then I think he ended up not using that because it didn't want it tied to him. So he ended up using cyanide. He's standing trial like this. He's currently right now trial was supposed to start in December, but then he fired his attorney. He's waiting to get a new attorney. So this is happening like right now.
That means his attorney was like, bro, you're cooked. And he's like, nah, I'm not guilty. I didn't do it.
That was part of his motion to withdraw, was about furthering crime is a snippet they put in there. Usually motions to withdraw, they can be private sometimes. And this one was specifically according to the Colorado News. So, but in the paper filing, the motion that he actually filed, he said it's one of the two reasons was didn't want to commit in furthering of a crime. So I don't know what this dentist is up to, but there are some accusations of some pretty serious stuff. Don't talk to cellies. We've talked about not talking to cellies a lot about your crimes. Be cool with them, but trying to hire them to murder someone, especially an investigating police officer, that's not going to be a good look for you. So 6 kids that are now motherless and probably going to be fatherless.
Yeah, it seems really weird, man. I mean, he doesn't give off that vibe. And
I was watching the first season of the Serial podcast, which I was in my drive back from the Rose Bowl, and I wanted something to grab my attention. So I go to something that's 10 years old, back in 2014. That was what really ushered in podcasting, which is why we're here today. And the presenter told a good story and taught me how to maybe podcast better and tell better stories. And I think we're so much more loose this year too. I think we're, when we started this, we were so uptight, and now we're more relaxed, me and you, maybe too relaxed.
I've never been relaxed.
Okay. You're high strung.
I only care about justice. So season 2 is the one of Serial that has that talks about Bergdahl. I told you I'd
Good.
yeah.
So I'm sorry. I mentioned the season of Serial I watched because so much about the narrator's story, the podcaster's story, is whether she believed that this is the kind of guy that could murder someone. And it didn't seem like a murderer. Like, he's a cool guy. He's affable. He's likable.
Well, what does
he's
a murderer seem like?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. And that was so much of her storytelling about, he doesn't seem like, the type. This guy who's a dentist, he's educated, father of 6 kids. There must have been some harbored feelings in his heart for his wife. And there's rumors that there's a new girlfriend that, he started seeing, who even when his wife's on her deathbed, he's booking flights for her to come out on the side. He's making,
That's very Dr. Seuss of him.
Yeah, he's making weird comments like, this would be an interesting, medical case to look at if it wasn't my wife. It's like, that's not what a grieving person would do.
Don't look at her. She's gone.
She's gone.
We don't need to worry about that anymore.
Let her go. Don't cut up the body. Don't check what really happened.
Please, our religious beliefs demand no autopsy, and she be buried within 48 hours.
Yeah. So cops clued in on that, and friends clued in on that too. They knew that there was some financial struggles with the
Did she have a life
dental
insurance
practice.
policy?
I don't know about that part.
There it is.
That's possibly a motive.
Well, I mean, if he's already if the bar's getting moved to the 51% to murder mark, also we got this $1 million policy on each other.
Right. I don't know how
That's
dentist,
like if I die under strange circumstances.
That's why.
I don't know if it's why,
Who
but
do you want me to point the finger at?
It doesn't. I don't know. No, you're not the beneficiary.
I'm not yet.
But I'm saying, yeah, my kid, my
shifty
11 months and 29 day old child. Yeah. Tomorrow. Happy birthday, buddy.
So yeah, that was an interesting one I wanted to mention to you.
The big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got there. Let's move on.
Let's
from
not
that
murder. Let's not murder wives.
Men's mental health. I don't know. It's
a huge thing. Like
this is his fault. Why are you? I don't know how they get to this situation. Go to therapy, people. Go to therapy. Do something. I don't know. Find hobbies.
Get a hobby.
Don't spend. If you're a dentist and you're losing that much money, you're doing something wrong. You're spending too much money or something. I don't know.
The dentists that I know clean up.
I know.
Like, I know a chick who I met her. I think I met her at the dog park when I first moved to Vegas. Real nice lady.
You're a social guy. Just talk to people.
I'm a only child. You don't have friends unless you speak to people. I could talk to a wall. Anyway, she was a dentist, I want to say 2 years, and then she bought into a practice. Like, got to be a part owner after 2 years. And was like granted, she was working a lot. She's working real hard, but she was cleaning up, dude.
I don't know. Most people, a lot of people's problems is spending too much money. If you're a dentist, and I'm sure he's clearing a few $100,000 a year, why just don't spend that much money?
Clearing a few
I don't know.
Clearing a few $100,000, no big deal.
I don't know. All right. This is, I don't know if anything.
There were some years that my dad didn't even make $100,000 or only almost made $100,000. You know the thing I'm talking about, Chael Sonnen? Oh my God.
That's a funny video.
It's so good.
A lot of people like to manufacture their struggles to make it seem like they've overcome a lot. Okay, I don't know. This is a story out of Western Illinois. You ever been to St. Louis, Missouri?
Yeah, several times.
Interesting city. Known for its butter cake and fried raviolis.
Also, that big arch,
Also, the big arch.
and there's a river there.
There's a large river and a riverboat
And,
casino.
it's a pretty tough city.
Yes.
And that's also where, what was the name of that? It's like a suburb of St. Louis, where the whole Mike Brown thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that was,
I don't know the name of the suburb.
It starts with a J. Damn it.
Sure.
I should remember, but I don't.
You're making stuff up now.
No.
Pause for
Hold
effect.
on. Hold on. Ferguson. Damn it.
It did not start with a J.
Did not start with a J. Ferguson.
F and J are near each other alphabetically.
No. Anyway, I had to count them, but yeah, that's another thing that's famous about St. Louis.
So this is in Illinois, which Illinois is just east of the Mississippi River, runs right through St. Louis. Then you have East St. Louis in Illinois. This is kind of smaller area but an interesting story out of this area was Sam Shelton, who was a teacher, age 26, had a sexual relationship with a student, Ashley Reeves, who was 17 at the time, in the year 2006. Story that happens all too often. Let's talk to the teachers. Stop being creeps.
A tale as old as time.
Don't sleep with the kids. Oh, gosh, you good people are gross. So because the relationship goes sour,
even if they're 17 or whatever, which
even
is
if they're 17
legal,
or 18,
it's still illegal
in
Nevada anyway.
Yeah, because you have an influence on that person. So
Dude,
even
I had an appeal when I was at the DA's office that I believe a current Court of Appeals judge was on the other side on because she was still at the PD's office. And the argument they were making was that the law, because they were above the age of statutory consent, since it prohibited teachers and students in high school from having relations, that it impeded whatever with his First Amendment freedom of association.
Yeah,
and they actually made that argument and put it in a brief.
That's an argument that could be made.
So gross.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess we'll say age of consent in states, even if it's 16 or 17, normally in Nevada, normally in other states, I don't know all, but as a teacher, you have an influence on a student. So if you have a relationship like that, it would also be considered statutory rape because that person's not you're not meeting them in normal circumstances.
Right.
You have kind of an authoritative relationship over them and you can influence them so they might feel that they have to participate in that relationship. So the consent aspect, it's called statutory rape because by statute, it's defined as rape. So there's a statutory age that we dictate that is, yes, now a person is old enough to decide, like mentally, even though our frontal lobe is not developed until we're 25 years old.
I think it's 43 for men.
Well, it could be. It could be. I'm not sure I'm there yet either. We've decided that at some point, there is a quasi, you're getting older and developing more of brain and understanding, but we've decided as a society and our individual states what age that is. But when there's that relationship that changes things, changes the power dynamics, we'll say, then that's a problem. So what that should be is different in every state. Are you looking up this case?
No, I'm looking up the age of consent in Missouri.
No,
and
don't even.
Dude, This is an AI thing. So it's like when you type something in Google, the AI answer.
Most of them are right. These
Dude,
AI
I know.
answers,
It
but
says
you do have to
the
check.
Missouri, the age of consent is 14, but there are some restrictions. 13 years old and younger cannot consent with anyone. 14, 15, and 16 cannot consent with someone who is more than 4 years older or who is 21 or older. So if you're 14, you can go up to 18, 15, 19, 16, 20.
Sure.
And then 17 years old can consent
Free game.
with anyone 14 and older.
Okay. I think I understand. Okay, so there is this relationship, sexual in
Jesus,
nature,
14, that's
romantic in
insane.
nature between Sam Shelton, 26, and student Ashley Reeves, 17. He apparently is worried. You know, this is old. This is from 2006, so not that much information I could find on it. But what happens is he's scared that she's going to come out with information on their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So he strangles her, ties her up with a belt, and leaves her for naught in the forest, because this is suburbs. This is in the middle of nowhere, kind of in foresty area. So she's found after, I want to say it was a while ago. I looked this up. 36 hours, 48 hours, and she's found tied up, bound, barely clinging to life. Okay, so he
She
gets
brain dead?
no. She makes
was
it.
just-
she
was
makes
just
it.
hurt.
She was missing for a total of 30 hours. Okay.
Jeez.
30 hours, strangled with a belt, and he left her for dead. And he confessed that he did it, and he thought that he had killed her. She survived. So instead of a murder charge, this guy gets an attempt murder charge. Okay. And that's what he ends up picking up. He just got out earlier this year. He had served the nearly 20 years in this case. He pled guilty in 2007. So he's finally out this year.
Are they dating?
That I read.
I thought you were going to throw me
No.
a curveball. I thought that you were going to
No.
throw me a curveball.
No.
Because, I don't know, we always talk about crazy stuff. That would be crazy, right?
We do. He's still on parole at the time of release in April of this year, I believe it was. He'll be on parole for 3 years after this attempt murder. So I don't even know what to say about things like this. How do you live your life again after something like this? Like, how does anybody trust you after you make that insane decision to leave somebody for dead? Seeming like a good person, like seeming like maybe a normal teacher who, I don't know how a person gets.
Did they convict him of any statutory stuff as well, or was it just the attempt murder?
Just from what I saw, which is a very, one article. There's like nothing else I could find on this.
So if it's just
only
the
about the attempt murder.
attempt murder, he's still going to have to register as a felon, which, I mean, they keep some tabs on you, but I was thinking if he's got the sex offense, they obviously take closer looks at that. And parole, he will have to check in. He'll have to do things. But there will come a time, in the not too distant future where he's not monitored and he just gets to go about his life with whatever life he can cobble together.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
like,
and the girl's alive. She gave a statement to the news just that she's hoping to move on and forget about it. Like recently, as this person's let out. But I don't know. Can you imagine the kind of emotional turmoil you would go through knowing that this person who left you for dead? Like, how much PTSD does she have from those 30 hours?
probably a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Like being tied to a tree and not being able to get out. I don't know, man.
That's just a crazy one. I shouldn't even talk about it. Let's talk about more fun stuff.
That makes me think of a case that happened where I'm from.
Tell me about it. You always got crazy ones.
This girl, so she was found on a dirt road, naked and handcuffed, running down this dirt road by one of my teachers from high school. I'm not going to mention her name, but his name was Jack Rutledge. He passed away somewhat recently. He was a teacher and coach, and definitely one of the people that left a lasting impact on me as a teacher and coach. But what happened to her is some guys had abducted her and took her clothes off, handcuffed her to this tree, and raped her over and over for a while. And they were intended on killing her. And they leave her there, like they were going to come back for more. They'd been doing it a while. And she like busts the branches and climbs over the tree It was like a sapling or something. She like climbed up it and got off of it and then ran down the road. And that's how they found her. Otherwise, she would have got killed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy story.
And convictions of the perpetrators?
Yeah, I was actually talking to my buddy Adam about it earlier because he was asking me. He knows the girl. He's there because they were the same age. She was a little bit younger than me, but I guess she was going to, or he was worried they were going to get out, and so he had me check on it, and they're still in prison for quite a while.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they took pleas.
Yeah, and some states have like victim reporting that they have to do. In Nevada, we're pretty good here. I don't know how Kansas is, but typically, if you're a victim of a crime, you can be put on some list to be notified if some kind of appeals process happens, or if there's some kind of parole petition going on. You can get notified to be aware of that. So that'll come up in the future, in some things we'll talk about too. Is notification of victims about certain things on cases. So, wow,
Yeah, it's crazy.
you always got
And especially like for a town like Sedan, it's such a small town. You know, there's only 3,300 people in the whole county. And yeah, there were some dudes that would like sleep with somebody's wife and get shot or something, but like nothing crazy. And then stuff like this happens.
young boys, man. Their brains aren't developed. I can
These
say
were not
that.
young boys.
Oh,
These were,
ugh.
The brain develops at 43.
43.
Yeah.
No, these dudes I think were in their 50s or something.
Oh, gross.
Or they were older.
How many?
2 of them.
Put them to death, man. That's gross.
No, I don't disagree with you. Like something like that, you know, systematically assaulting somebody over and over and with the intention of killing them.
Yes, to cover up. Yeah,
I don't think that there's any kind of rehabilitation for that that's going to work.
Nope. You tried in life.
And you failed.
You failed.
And now humanity gets
yeah.
to say no to you.
Yep. We get to reject you.
Yes.
If only.
That
But
was a bad case.
no, that's horrible. Got another one we talked about, which is more interesting.
Hopefully less sad because now I'm depressed.
Less sad. You were kind of watching the video on this earlier. This is a pretty new cop, newly trained, still on probation. Usually in jobs we hear about people being on probation in their first whatever time, few months.
Couldn't do that again if I tried. I just threw a water bottle at Austin and it like stuck right next to him in the chair.
I like that. This is in the San Antonio area, San Antonio, Texas. I'll segue my hat. San Antonio Missions. If you can't tell, that's the old Alamo building behind, and an SA and a baseball. Cool gold Alamo, an old school SA. It's very 90s, and a baseball. Black hat.
But it's not that weird S
Gray
where you
bill.
draw like the little like straight lines and curved lines. That one. That would be really 90s.
No,
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
about SA or about the Alamo?
No, just the S. You know, it's like
Oh.
3 straight lines and then you make an S.
I don't even know what that's called, but yes, I know what you're talking about. The Super S, or
I don't know.
I don't know what it's called either.
It's called what?
Swag.
No,
Swag? No, it's
no, you're too young for this, Austin. You don't know this S.
Ramp? Yeah, I do. I can draw it.
yeah, it's called the S symbol. Let's
I don't know
see.
what it's called either.
Cool S. It's literally called a cool S. I'm on Wikipedia. The cool S, also known as the universal S or the Stussy S, STU umlaut with an U, SSY, Stussy. Super S, Pointy S, Savage S, Basquiat S, Surfer's S, and Graffiti S.
Graffiti S. That makes most sense to me.
I like Stussy S.
Okay.
I don't know what it means though.
I think that was a brand of like
I'm going to Google it.
clothes.
Maybe it was like Massimo kind of thing. Like they made an S and
Sure.
oh yeah, it's a something. It's a website. So came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then the first question is, why is it so popular?
I don't know. It just is.
It's been attributed to the popularity in the hip hop and skateboarding surfer scenes. So
Whatever scene you're a part of.
yeah,
So in San Antonio, a cop was tipped off and says, "Hey, we have this suspect we're looking for, and then they're driving this kind of car." Okay,
okay. Let me guess. It was a
it's like a silver sedan. It's nothing special.
wow.
Yeah,
Wonder how many of those there are.
yeah. It's like a
Whoops.
Honda Accord or something like that. We are going to be putting in this video
A light colored Honda
Austin.
Accord.
I showed you this video. It's been a few weeks. We had some off time, guys. So it's been a few weeks. We're gonna pause here and let Justin watch it, and then
Is that the one
we'll
that you
make
sent
some
me that kept opening?
make some comments on it. Here's my complaint. I hate news. I hate local news because they put like snippets of the video, but they don't show the whole video because they want you to look at their stupid news article. I get pissed off about this. I do this all the time because I look at local news to research for this stuff, and they don't put the whole video on there.
Get out of the car.
It was a police shooting that made national headlines.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Eric Cantu, 17 at the time, shot while backing up and speeding away from an SAPD officer in this McDonald's parking lot.
What? He had a fucking hamburger in his hand.
Okay, we're back on now. He has a hamburger in his hand. The car fits the description, is what I remember.
It's like a dark colored sedan. That's it.
That's it. That was the only matching. This police officer's still on probation. There's a question of what's the deal with the training? How could this ever happen? Why does he open fire so quick? A girlfriend's in the passenger seat too.
Did she get hit?
No, didn't get
He
hit.
shot him. He had to have shot him like
Yes,
6 or 8 times.
he got hit. He was in critical condition for a while. This is now 2 years ago.
Oh, so he lived?
He survived. Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
He's a beast then because he definitely got hit in the chest, shoulders.
He's a young teenage kid. There's a 1983 claim for this now, obviously.
you don't say.
So, I mean, we get approached about 1983 claims all the time. Usually you have to have a pretty good case for, it to really go anywhere. What 1983 is there's a section in the U.S. Code, USC. I think it's 42, chapter 42, section,
that's right.
section 1983. So we call them 1983 claims. Has nothing to do with the year. It's just the number of the claim, the statute. So 1983 claim is a claim for damages against a federal, a state, anybody government-wise, but you're suing them under federal theory here for damages that they can inflict upon you by violating your rights. Because
Constitutional rights.
you have constitutional rights. You have constitutional rights not to be attacked by somebody, even from the state, unless it's proportional. Let's say you're acting wildly, then yes, they can,
If I pull a gun on a police
subdue you.
officer, he's allowed to shoot me.
Correct. Yeah. So it has to be proportional. Okay. Proportional use of force. It can't be excessive. Excessive force is what we talk about. So the question of what's communicated to this police officer beforehand, whether, they're armed and dangerous. I don't know. That's going to be a whole play here. Eric Cantu is in the car in San Antonio area and in the driver's seat, as we see in this video. For you audio listeners, you can't see, but the police officer just approaches him,
Opens the door for
opens
no
his
reason.
door, and Eric has a cheeseburger in his hand.
Yeah, he's literally double fisting.
He has no free hands to have. So I don't know what the police officer believes that he sees, but he backs up and starts shooting at him. Eric kind of moves the car forward.
Well, he didn't start to shoot until the kid, it looked like the kid freaked out and goes to slap it in reverse, like he was going to get out of the way. But the cop's not behind the car; he's just next to it. So it'd be like he'd be backing up in front
He's
of you.
on the driver's side.
And then the door's still open. He's got the cheeseburger still, and he starts shooting at him. And then the kid goes to drive off, and he's still shooting at him.
Yeah, and you can hear the officer say, "Shots fired! Shots fired!" We're still not quite understanding why. The police officer has criminal charges pressed, against him. I don't think he does any time for it. Yeah. And
So this is the part where I'm going to talk crap, because only when you're a police officer can you shoot somebody for no reason and then end up going home.
he was fired, but
Oh, wow.
he's
Great.
He can get a job in a
He
different
should have been
county
fired.
or whatever. It's inexplicable. I don't understand it. Recent news articles came out about Eric now because he's gotten into some criminal trouble. I know. And it almost seems, and that's the article you were looking at earlier, that YouTube you were looking at earlier, where they're talking about his recent charges. He had some evading arrest charges, 2 separate incidents.
No shit.
Oh, wow. He's not going to trust cops, right? He's going to evade arrest. Who knows if this is a smear campaign of sorts? He potentially could be doing stupid stuff. He's had a recent parole hearing because he took a plea deal on the evading arrest charges. He took a plea deal, and part of that we talked about a little earlier was he has a suspended license, and he was driving his dad's vehicle to meet his PO, his probation officer, parole officer. So he's being considered about maybe being revoked. You talked about revocation earlier, because typically you'll plead to something with an agreement that you'll stay out of trouble. Otherwise, you'd have some kind of sentence that you'd have to do if you don't stay out of trouble. So the news now has articles. Remember Eric Cantu, who was famous because he got shot by police? He's in trouble now. And meanwhile, his dad is saying this guy's had anxiety, mental issues, depression because of being shot by a police officer for no reason. Now he's distrusting of authority, all these things that I think all of us can agree are reasonable for this situation.
Yeah.
So a minor smear campaign, but the news is there just to make money and have people watch these things. So if you see something about, remember this kid that got shot? Oh, okay, I want to click this and watch this now. So they're just trying to sell you a story. And it seems like they have, they want to smear them, but it's really just, they want you to watch their stuff and be invested in the news and say to your buddy, oh, did you see what happened? So
another element that I just looked up that's wild, they actually charged the kid that got shot with evading detention in a vehicle and assault on a police officer.
Yeah.
But District
dismissed
Attorney
those
Joe
pretty quick,
Gonzalez
yeah.
later announced the charges would be dismissed, quote, out of compassion because the teen is in critical condition in the hospital. Or because your cop didn't have any reason to talk to him. Oh, man, it's stupid.
You should just sit there and get shot.
He also didn't get fired for 2 days, and charges weren't filed for like 9 days.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy to see these kind of things happen. And this is why we're vigilantly on watch sometimes for bad cops, and these stories do kind of explode. There's a recent one right after Christmas. I don't know if you saw this. Is at a jail outside of Syracuse where some corrections officers beat a guy to death. I don't know if you saw this.
I did not see that.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of in that dead time after Christmas where I don't know if we're looking at news, but it was at some state facility, and there's video of the corrections officers for whatever reason. This is a group of 4 corrections officers that just are beating and kicking this guy, and it does not look warranted. Looks like very much an excessive use of force, and be its own investigation. And usually it's local people that'll push that. And, once a video comes out, the news does great things. They are a concerted effort that does these Freedom of Information Act requests to get these videos out so that they can actually see, what's going on. And those are respected because there are some penalties for state agencies that don't follow that. And there are certain people that push for those penalties and even make a living doing that, requesting videos and seeking the penalties and getting money for that. So there's this Freedom of Information Act helps provide information to the public.
And can maybe make us some extra Skrilla.
I've never done it, but
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's something we can explore. So
In our abundant free time.
These facts could potentially, his new charges could potentially come up in trial, but are probably something that's not relevant to his damages for the 1983 claim. I don't see why they would be, but certainly probably the state would argue as to that.
Yes.
One of the last things I want to talk about, I put it in here and then later you sent it to me, Brittany Patterson, 10-year-old son who was wandering. So they're in the suburbs of Georgia, the kind of rural part of Georgia. I think it was the northeast part of Georgia. Brittany Patterson was taking another one of her children to a doctor's appointment, I believe, and her 10-year-old son was walking the streets. Okay?
Oh, God.
This free-range parenting thing.
No. She told him he
not
could go to
free-range parenting,
the
but-
grocery store or the gas station down the street.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she just let the kid run around.
No, I agree with you. But this brings up a question of the rights of a parent versus child endangerment, because she was at least detained, and Initially, there were charges brought about her endangering her 10-year-old son for walking publicly by himself. It's not like he's looking after a younger child or anything like that. He was by himself in a very rural city where everybody knows everyone else. And there's video of the body-worn camera footage of when Georgia police come and arrest her and say, well, you're under arrest for letting your child walk and be out on his own. So part of her interviews that she's given since then are they want her to sign some kind of parenting agreement or something like that, something about how she's going to watch her children in the future. And she's saying, no. Dude, they're saying we're going to dismiss these charges if you sign this. And so
that's a go along to get along thing.
That is a go along. She's saying no, though. She's saying no. This is something as that I last saw. She's still actively fighting because the criminal case isn't just overnight. But she took one of her kids to the doctor and said, yeah, whatever for the other kid. You seem like you're in growing up, you could have maybe at 10 years old gone wherever you wanted. You walk around to the gas station, go hang out in the fields, or
so I remember
a little different
riding my bicycle. The first bicycle I ever got, like a real bicycle, was from a police auction in Independence, Kansas, because we were pretty broke. And my dad got that bike for $6.
Nice.
It was a sweet Huffy. It was red. Didn't have pegs on it, but you could have put pegs on it. But it was awesome. I rode that bike everywhere. I was 7.
Okay.
And I remember riding it to my buddy Colt's house, Colt Davis. He lived probably 4 or 5 miles away. So I had to ride up to Peru, Kansas, through the town, down a big hill, out into the country.
Okay.
Like dirt road to the one paved road to dirt road.
At 7 years old, 8 years old?
7 or 8. I was young. I remember, the reason that I remember this is because when I was on my way, I was still scared of getting bit by snakes. Like once I got older, I didn't care, right? Because I knew which ones were the venomous ones and which ones weren't. So I see this little snake, it was probably about a foot, 14 inches long. I go to catch it, it almost bites me. And so I smashed it with a stick, not trying to hurt it, but I, grabbed it by the head, ride my bike the rest of the way up to his dad's house. It was the first time I ever caught a rattlesnake.
Oh.
Yeah, because I didn't know what it was. I just knew I didn't want it to bite me, so I grabbed it, right? Well, his dad freaks out, makes me throw it down and kills it. My parents would have been to prison if the standard was don't let a 10-year-old go somewhere alone, is the point of that whole story.
And there's nothing that happened to this kid either.
No.
Nothing negative happened to Brittany Patterson's kid. It's just the fact that he was walking on his own, and some people that...
Not all 10-year-olds are the same.
That's true.
I've
That's
got
true.
buddies whose kids are idiots that I wouldn't trust them when they're 18 to be by themselves.
Most...
And then I know some, people with your situation where they have several children and they've got a 9-year-old who's capable of watching a 3-year-old for a little bit. Like the parents are going to run across the street or they got to go do something real quick. They're like, look, we don't want to load everybody in the car. You stay right here. Call us if there's a problem. And I would be like, that kid's perfectly cool.
Sure.
That kid's going to keep the other kids safe. Nothing weird's going to happen. She's going to watch them like a hawk.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
And this is there's no defined age in Nevada. It sounds like there's no defined age in Georgia for, when to let your kids free. It's are you putting them in danger is the standard. And what can that mean? Ultimately, it's decided by a jury of your peers, but you don't want to face criminal charges for anything ever because have to hire an attorney, have to have that hanging over your head, have to have that stress. So be safe. Make sure your kid's really, good enough where nobody in their right mind could say this. Like, hey, yeah, he's in danger. I agree. A 10-year-old walking, I don't know. If I see that here in downtown Vegas, I'd be like, ugh, no. Don't be putting your 10-year-old on Fremont Street walking up and down them by themselves.
It depends on where it's at.
But in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, where everybody knows everybody, oh, that's the Patterson kid.
Yeah.
It's like, because I have some, dude. I mean, I was 8 or 9 and I was riding my bike to my friend's house. I have kids, neighbors, and they're how old? 7, 5, and they live a couple streets over, and they bike over to my house by themselves.
So the only thing I'm going to say to that,
And
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know.
But the one time that one of your kids gets snatched by some dude in a van,
then or they get hit by a car or something,
some
and
dickhead teenager speeding down the street. not
yeah,
paying
and then they
attention.
blame you, and then
Sure.
the cops show up and wait, your 5-year-old's out, and you don't know where they are. You're not with them every second.
But it's like that meme. It was
it's
like
the
there was.
helicopter parent versus
It was like that meme that said like there was literally a commercial that came on at 9 o'clock when we were kids and said it's 9 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Because it was like, yo, come home when the street light
that was
comes
my
on.
rule. Yeah, street lights on.
Yeah.
I grew up. I played hockey with the neighbor kids. We played street hockey.
Like
That was
ball hockey?
That was and
Nice.
that was the thing in the 90s. My friend was on a little cul-de-sac, so we'd go to their little cul-de-sac and we'd play street hocky in our rollerblades. You know?
Oh, we did the same thing.
That was like our thing in the 90s for
I
some
mean, no
reason.
cul-de-sac. It was the one piece of pavement that was any good in town. But yes,
For some-
no, they built a barn. It was like a pole barn, so it had a roof that was made of tin, it closed on either end, but it was on 2-inch pipe poles that were probably 8 feet tall, and it was this nice smooth pavement. So we'd take the trash cans, knock them over, put them on either end, and we'd play ball hockey in there.
Yeah.
That was where I watched Jamie Lemon get his elbow broke to where the point of his elbow was down here. Because I think it was Dustin Reed it might have been Dustin Reed, got pissed at him and smacked him with a hockey stick. Crack. And then he's just like, ah! And he walked across the street. Guess what? Ambulance came, no police.
Hey.
Bunch of 10-year-olds hitting each other with hockey sticks, no big deal.
Hey, different places would treat this wildly differently. You know,
Yeah. Or the time that Lucas Deal, we were playing football in the same little area. There's a park, right? And it had like a jungle gym, a swing set, a slide, and then like these weird metal swings that were like chest high that you could kind of swing on. Anyway, so he was running on the boundary line. Well, the boundary line was the pole that came out of the slide. What happens? He hits it with his shin, flips over. Turns out his shin is snapped in half. His fib tib are broken open, and he's bleeding all over the ground. Yeah, because we were just up there playing football, right? Like all this dumb shit. No one ever got arrested.
Yet when you let your kid walk, you are put in handcuffs. I don't know. Is it a commentary on the changing of the world? Because yes, our
Because we're all getting softer.
Our parents would let us go out, and are we just that much more protective now?
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many more creeps that we're talking about too today.
Well, and
So-
that's the other thing I'm thinking. There was a guy, I think I've told you about this guy. His name was Frankie Astrick or something like that. I think it was Astrick. I'm not sure. Everybody had a nickname for him that wasn't super nice. Well, it turns out he was a pedophile. And we'd be at the park, and he'd just be sitting there
watching you guys.
smoking cigarettes, watching the kids play.
Oh, gross.
And I mean, nobody ever got snatched, but there's some stuff I'll tell you off camera that we found. He used to live at the old brick plant. There was a camper shell out there that he literally lived in. And we went out there one time. I'll tell you this part. And there was, those dolls that are yay tall,
Sure.
decent sized. It was anatomically correct. It
No.
had been made anatomically correct. And that's where this dude lived. Dude, it's just
Gross. All right.
the point being that like everybody kind of knew that, and we still got to go to the park, but it was also safety in numbers.
oh,
He can't. No, he can only get one at a time.
I can only get the slowest.
Slowest ones. This is like, look, survival of the fittest. If you're not fast, you get snatched.
Oh, gross.
Do not get in the van. There is no puppy in there. The only thing in there is despair.
So I can completely understand now being a helicopter parent and not allowing my kids to go.
I'm
to
a
the park.
helicopter parent
Yeah, you are. You are. Yes.
because I don't want my kid to die. He already did that once almost. I'm good. I don't need that anymore.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And I was worried that he was going to be like damaged from the experience, but he seems to be okay. So yeah, now we're going to do everything we can to keep him alive.
Nice.
And by we, I mean me.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
Love that for you. All right, listener question. It's time.
Oh yeah.
This was a real listener question. I had this question posed to me on TikTok, and I don't know if you've seen the question yet. Maybe you're looking at it now.
Tick tick.
TikTok. Random.
No, I've never looked at it.
Random person sent this to me. I was convicted of a felony charge in AZ in 2002. In 2022, I had my record set aside and all my rights restored, including the right to bear arms. In 2024, I had my record sealed as well. Can I carry in Nevada? The FBI also gave me a UPIN, so they recognized it as well. Sometimes we get questions and I don't quite understand everything.
So I know what that means.
I mean, we generally know. I'll say people think that they know what they're talking about, but sometimes things vary state by state too.
Right.
And I want to see we always ask to see. Let me see what document you have that shows
Yeah.
shows what you're saying.
So assuming that what that person is saying is correct, then yes. Once you've had your rights restored and everything's sealed, there shouldn't be an issue. And the FBI UPIN, that should cover you.
Yeah.
Well, the part of the thing is they're not going to arrest you, because if they see you with a weapon, let's say they run you, they're not going to pull anything up.
They're not going to find anything.
You're not going to be a prohibited person at that point.
Not in the state of Nevada, anyway. I guess.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. I mean,
Obviously, it would depend on the state.
and I don't know what your record sealing looks like or what you mean by the words record set aside. That's
So
what's
set
interesting
aside
to
is
me.
what they call it in Arizona.
That's just what they call sealing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Because he talked about sealing separately in 2024 and record set aside in 2022. So I don't know what that person means. I'm going to send this guy this link to this YouTube to listen to Justin say, yeah, I don't think you have an issue.
I think
you're
you're
going to
good.
put the stamp on that.
I think he's good.
Okay.
And I'm looking up UPIN right now. So the UPIN is unique personal identification number, which is assigned by the FBI during a voluntary appeal. It's because they're being delayed. They're getting delays, or they're wrongfully denied the ability to purchase due to a past charge, or somebody else has a similar name. FBI personnel will research your case and assign you a UPIN if you have no firearms prohibitions, which means, again, I wanted to verify. I thought that's the case.
Federally, he's clear.
Federally, he's clear.
Yeah.
And they're not going to see it because it's sealed or set aside. He should be good. But if he has a specific question, I would ask him to reach out to me so we could talk a little bit more about the details.
Yeah,
so I can make sure this is right.
We always want to see documents to confirm what you're saying. So I'll send you a YouTube link of this episode, Mr. Anonymous. But thanks for listening to another episode of Tangled Rights.
Thanks, guys.
By Aura. What do you know?
Yeah,
That's our sponsor, Aura.
Our sponsor product is link in the bio.
Link
it's
in bio.
amazing. Top tier product. We vouch for them.
Okay. Peace out. Rights enthusiasts. I'm going to call our listeners rights enthusiasts this year. Rights enthusiasts? Rights enjoyers? What do you like?
Let me get back to you on it.
Okay.
Because it's not saying it's tangled.
I know it doesn't talk about the tangling, but we have to enjoy our rights.
I love my rights.
Yeah.
And guess what? They don't exist because the government made them. They exist on their own, and the government's designed to protect them. When they fail that, I'm done.
They
Whatever.
should. They
All
should.
right, now I'm
they
pissed.
Should.
This is
They
bullshit.
should. They should.
I'm fucking mad again.
Go rights. Enjoy them.